just not, my dad's going to be here too. So I spoke about opening this area up for library, for work, for students to come study. If you need a quiet, peaceful place to study and practice meditation, this is like very conducive for that matter. And then I'll be opening up a lot more programs here. And if no students come, then I sit here and I just go back to my basics and I try to finish up my library or go back to it. It's amazing how much I have forgotten. And it's funny, some questions you ask, you get instant answers. Sometimes you ask, you're going to be like, oh my God, he became Bhikkhu Bodhi. But I really enjoy writing books. So I have to go back to my sources and stuff like that. And then students who are wanting to be trained as monastics then have to study sociology, have to study so much you all have to study for to be a well-rounded future monastics or to be a well-rounded Buddhist. You have to really study and you have to know what to study, not like, not like useless stuff that's out there. Just because there's so much information. And the other day I went on other type of social media, Twitter, Facebook, and all this other stuff, and I realized there's so much junk on the internet. It's not even funny. And I forgot, that's the first thing I should have communicated with all of my students, is because there's so much junk that it's no wonder when they come here, and then it's no wonder when I'm doing one-on-one sessions that they're like really lost. And I ask them certain elements about the teachings of the Buddha, and they're just like, huh? And some have master's degree, and I'm like, I gave very specific instructions, but they don't remember their instructions because after the instructions were given, they never wrote it down, and they went back to Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, whatever. My parents are now doing it. My parents are sitting there together swiping TikTok like 20-year-olds. And I'm like, what in the gay hell? What's happening here? So I know that it's playing tricks on people. So the old traditional way of practice is combating with what technology is doing to people's minds. Literally, they're losing their wits. Losing their wits. Um, yeah, it's difficult for us monks, modern day urban Buddhist monks, to really see the human condition and how we can like kind of like grab your mind and bring it to the present moment. You know what I mean? Uh, it's a very daunting task, and it's a daunting task for even the younger generations. I'm also conducting a lot of studies, researching into students who are the Gen Zoomers who are stepping into the Dhamma at a late stage. And as you take the precept, and I explain the precepts and how they're not getting the point, or they have doubts about it and they're just astray, and they go back online and they read stuff about religion, and then they're being drawn away from it, and then they will go back to picking up the 9mm Glock and robbing people again. you know um, and our courthouse here has gotten bigger. The jail has expanded.
It's not a good sign.
It's not a good sign, correct? That means that ignorance is winning. The three poison in Buddhism is winning. And the wisdom and the cultivation of the heart within this practice, it's not good. So today's ceremony, and every time when I have students like you guys who are now what I title as hardcore Buddhist, when they ask me to take the precept as somewhat hardcore Buddhist, is that the oh, I forgot Instagram. To record on Instagram. One day they will make a unifying platform to for us monks to just hit one button and it just records across everything. They do, but it just doesn't work for me. I don't know why. Like StreamYard doesn't work out too well.
They need to develop a ritual.
Okay, so as we prepare to go in this, and of course this keep on turning off does not help either with students trying to memorize this thing. So for all the teachers and students that is watching my whole spiel here, bear with me as we go. We have a lot of technological challenges, and I have to turn here to control another laptop. There's 4 laptops here, and the students have not been coached yet, have not been giving prior instructions to today's precept um, ceremony. The students are Westerners. The students are in America. The students have not been trained in Pali. So we have multiple challenges in modern day here. So forgive me for all of the teachers who are watching, who are expecting, world class level delivery of this ceremony. And today's not we're gonna get to try to get really close to it. Um, but so right now, I just want everyone to just watch this one more time before we begin as I prepare my side of laptops. We turn this on just up a little bit. Steven, we have a we have remote control. Oh, I found it.
For the TV?
All the teachers are watching me. They're like, "What's happening over there?"
Open in a moment.
I'm flexible. I can do it. Let's go back. And they're chanting really fast too. So just gonna have to bear with it.
นะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะพุทธังสรณังคัจฉามิพุทธังสรณังคัจฉามิธัมมังสรณังคัจฉามิธัมมังสรณังคัจฉามิสังฆังสรณังคัจฉามิสังฆังสรณังคัจฉามิทุติยัมปิพุทธังสรณังคัจฉามิทุติยัมปิพุทธังสรณังคัจฉามิทุติยัมปิธัมมังสรณังคัจฉามิทุติยัมปิธัมมังสรณังคัจฉามิทุติยัมปิสังฆังสรณังคัจฉามิทุติยัมปิสังฆังสรณังคัจฉามิตติยัมปิพุทธังสรณังคัจฉามิ
Stephen.
ตติยัมปิพุทธังสรณังคัจฉามิตติยัมปิธัมมังสรณังคัจฉามิต Tatiyampi dhammam saranang kacchami.
Tatiyampi sanghang saranang kacchami.
Tatiyampi sangham saranang kacchami.
ติสรณะคัมมนังนิธิตัง
Aha Pante.
ปานาติปาตาเวรมณีสิกขาปะทังสมาธิยามิ
Panatipata Veramani Sikkhapatam Samadhiyami.
อทินนาดานาเวรมณีสิกขาปะทังสมาธิยามิ
Atinnathana Veramani Sikkhapatam Samadhiyami.
กาเมสุมิชฌาจาราเวรมณีสิกขาปะทังสมาธิยามิ
Kamesu Michchācāra Veramani Sikkhapatam Samadhiyami.
มุสาวาทาเวรมณีสิกขาปะทังสมาธิยามิ
Musāvātā Veramani Sikkhapatam Samadhiyami.
สุราเมรยมัจจปมาทฐานาเวรมณีสิกขาปะทังสมาธิยามิ
Surameraya Maccapamatthathana Veramani Sikkhapatam Samadhiyami.
อิมานิปัญจสิกขาปทานิสีเลนะสุขติงยันติสีเลนะโภคสัมปทาสีเลนะนิพุติงยันติตัสมาสีลังวิโสทะเย
Sadhu, sadhu.
Okay, so I'm gonna guide you guys, just like how they they guide us. That they're just the way. During ordination ceremony, sometimes ordination has to be done quick, and so they guide us. So I'm going to guide you guys. I think that's best here, rather than you having to look up in Tisarana. That's just better, I think, if you just repeat after me. Okay, you guys get ready in your position. Oh, let me do my part first, real quick. Namo Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa. We pay homage to the Blessed One, the Worthy One, the fully enlightened Buddha. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dhammaya, Namo Sanghaya. We pay homage to the Triple Gem. At this time, she's loud enough. She's loud. She's cool. Okay. At this time, this morning, students have asked for me to give them the precept, and so therefore I'm going to guide them through the ceremony on how to do it. And so therefore, at this time, I will instruct you when to bow. When you hear this, you bow, and try your best. It's okay if you mess up during the Pali. I expect that. And one, two. Just do your best to repeat, and then one of these days when we go into, once all the essentials are covered and we go into Pali, you guys will know how to, literally write Pali, but it's what you see here, up here, and Pali is on top, and then the English is on the bottom. Okay. At this time, you all repeat after me. Arahang
Arahang
Sama
Sama
Sambuddho
Sambuddho
Bhagava
Bhagava
Buddhang
Buddhang
Bhagavatang
Bhagavatam
Abhiva
Abhiva
Demi.
Demi.
You all would now give 3 bows. Swatgato
Swagato
Bhagavata
Bhagavata
Thammo
Namo
Dhammang
Tamang
Namasami.
Namasami
One bow. Supatipanno
Supatimano
Bhagavato
Bhagavato
Sawaka Sangho.
Savakasano
Sanghang
Sanghang
Namami.
Namami
Mayang Bante.
Mayang Bande
This is where you request for your precepts. Ti Sarana Nena
Ti Sarana Nenga
Saha
Saha
Panja
Panja
Silani
Silani
Ya Jama.
Yajama.
It means, Venerable Sir, we request the 3 refuge and the 5 precept. Dutiyami
Tutiyambi
Mayang
Mayang
Bante
Bande
Ti Sarana Nena
Ti Sarana Nenga
Saha Panja
Saha Ja
Silani
Silani
Jam Ya Jama.
Yajama.
It means, Venerable Sir, a second time. Tatiyambi
Tatiyambi
Mayang
Mayang
Bante
Bande
Ti Sarana Nena
Ti Sarana Nenga
Saha Panja
Saha Benja
Silani
Silani
Ya Jama.
Yajama.
Venerable Sir, a third time.
นะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะ
Namo Tassa
Namo tassa
Bhagavato
bhagavato
Arahato
arahato
Sama
samma
Sambuddhassa.
sambuddhassa.
Namo ตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะ Homage to the Blessed One, the Worthy One, the rightly self-awakened One.
นะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะ
พุทธังสรณังคัจฉามิ
Buddhang saranang gacchami.
พุทธังสรณังคัจฉามิ
I go to the Buddha for refuge.
สรณังคัจฉา
Dhammang saranang gacchami. I go to the teachings of the Buddha for refuge.
มิ
Sanghang saranang gacchami. I go to the Sangha for refuge. Dutiyambi Buddhang saranang gacchami. A second time, I go to the Buddha for refuge.
พุทธังสรณัง
Dutiyambi Dhammang saranang gacchami. A second time, I go to the Dhamma for refuge. Dutiyami Sanghang saranang gacchami. A second time, I go to the Sangha for refuge. Tatiyambi Buddhang saranang gacchami. A third time, I go to the Buddha for refuge. Tatiyambi Dhammang saranang gacchami. For the third time, I go to the teachings of the Buddha for refuge. Tatiyambi Sanghang saranang gacchami. A third time, I go to the Dhamma for refuge.
สรณังคัจฉามิ
ตติยัมปิสังฆังสรณังคัจฉามิ
ติสรณะคัมมนังนิติตัง
Tisarana kamanang nititang
อามะพันเต
ahang pante.
ปานาติปาตา
Now we begin the precept, and this is the first one. It is the I undertake the training rule to refrain from taking life. You will repeat after me. Panati pata Veramani Sikha Patang Sama Diyami.
เวรมณีสิกขาปะทังสมาธิยามิ
ปานาติปาตาเวระมณีสิกขาปะทังสมาธิยามิ
อดินาดา
Adina Dana Veramani Sikha Patang Samadhiyami. I undertake the training rule to refrain from stealing.
อานาเวรมณีสิกขาปะทังสมาธิยามิ
อาทินนาทานาเวระมณีสิกขาปะทังสมาธิยามิ
กามิ
Kamesu Michachara Veramani Sikha Patang Samadhiyami. I undertake the training rule to refrain from sexual misconduct.
ยามิ
กาเมสุมิชาจาราเวระมณีสิกขาปะทังสมาธิยามิ
มุสาวาทาเวรมณีสิก
มุสาวาดา
มุสาวานา
เวรมณี
เวรมณี
สิกขาปะทัง
สิกขาปะทัง
สมาดิยามิ
สมาธิยามิ
ยามิ
สุราเมรยะมัจจ
สุบรา
สุปรา
เมรยะ
เมรยะ
มัจจะ
มัจจ
พะมา
ปัตมา
ดัตถนา
ตัตถนา
เวรมณี
เวรมณี
สิกขาปะทัง
สิกขาปะทัง
สมาดิยามิ
สมาธิยามิ
ตัปปมาทฐานาเวรมณีสิกขาปะทังสมา
I undertake the training rule to refrain from intoxicants that lead to carelessness.
เวระมณีสิกขาปะทังสมาธิยามิ
อิมานิปัญจสิกขา
Imani pancha sika padani.
ปะทานิ
These are the five training rules. To virtue they go to the good born. Silena sukating yanti.
สีเลนะโพ
Silena po pa sampada. To virtue is wealth. Silena niputing yanti. To virtue they go to liberation.
นันิพุติยันติตัสมาสิ
Tasama silang vitso paye. Therefore, we should purify our virtue.
ทิรังวิโสทะเย
สาธุสาธุ
You will now repeat Satu 3 times.
สาธุสาธุสาธุ
สาธุ
This concludes your precept. You all may back to as you were. Let me see if I can do this. You ready to see me as a rookie? So people who are joining us, I know you're new, and this is kind of like, what are they doing? Just bear with us for a second, real quick, and then we will go into our clinical Buddhism. Let me see if I can do this. Eyes closed. Tantalike vimane diperate jagame tarumanagahane awantum hikete pummajayantu dewa jalatala visame Panangganti tangda sangtike yang munikara wacanang Wahume sunantu thamma savanakalo Padanta thamma savanakalo
Padanta Dhamma Savanakalo Padanta Eti Buddhang Dhammang Sanghang Apipuajaya Viradinang Gunawanca Jamai Hanca Dirtharatang Taya Yasukaya
So you guys got a sample of the chant. They're very slow though. This is very slow, and I'm starting to appreciate it being slow. When you hear very fast speed chants nowadays, you have to go back to that. It'd be more conducive when you go to Thailand and you're in a monastery when you have to chant in the morning, chant like 3 4 times. Lunch too, you also chant. And when I gave the blessing verse last time, if you go back to look at how I was struggling, and I was like, well, I better not mess up because it's been so long since I gave a blessing. Got like 2 weeks to me is like 2 years of not giving of that. Anyways, um, I was supposed to print out some things for you guys, but then I had second thoughts about it just because I don't want you guys to get really all into the wasting your time. Actually, if there's active suffering, I don't want people to waste their time with rituals and this other stuff that I deem not necessary at this time. It's the teacher's job to tell you, okay, I think you can relax and study Pali now. And that's kind of like, yay, recess. And this is like, yeah, you can run around in the playground. But in regards to studying for Buddhism, and you don't, why study Pali when everything is being translated into English now? You know, um, it's the Four Noble Truths. When I'm screening people for it, they're struggling, and I'm asking you to learn another language. Pali is another language. And it's funny when I talk to Thai monks and they don't speak English, I talk to them in Pali. Or, and so, I try to make my point across. I'm mixing English and Pali at the same time. Uh, and, like when a group of monks are walking and one of them is kind of like, you're supposed to look on the ground. When you watch Venerable Yutatama, when it is kind of like, you're supposed to look on the ground. When you watch Venerable Yutatama, when monks who are so in the monastery for so long, the old traditional training is that they're not even supposed to look at you in the eye. They're supposed to like look down while they're giving the teachings. And I was giving you the precept. I'm supposed to have a fan in front of me to cover my face, so that you don't get attached to the personality of the monk and just to hear the teachings. Um, but when we monks go together, uh, uh, and we catch one of the younger monks looking at a really fine girl, cute face, little waist, big butt, and we, I like to mess with them. I'm like, Kame, and I close my, I'm like, Kame sumi jajara wera mani sikha patang samadhiyami, and and they're like, oh yeah, refrain from sexual misconduct. Or if I catch one of them looking where they're not supposed to be looking, or lusting as they're looking, because I know, you know, and I would say, what's the term? I said samanera ayatana. That means your five senses, your five sense doors, you know, or or if they gonna act on certain things, or they start talking about that one particular girl, I would look at them and I would say dukkha, 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 which is suffering, suffering. And then it's a pleasurable sight. So I would say vedana dukkha, which is feelings. Okay, that reminds them immediately. Uh, I won't give any names during this talk, but I've had monks of 15 years in the monastic training who got married in in the presence of his wife. Would I started wandering around women in the room, okay. And I have to use Pali in a crowded setting, only our language. And I said, dukkha, anatta, anicca. And then, and then I'll say it and then close my eyes again. And when I close my eyes, that is silent translation to say, you sit there and you meditate on the three marks of existence. Uh-huh. Um, or the qualities for the monks, the supatipano, bhagavato, sawaka, sangho, uchupatipano. So we have very unique way of reminding each other in the presence of a crowd or something like that. It's like, it's not a secret language. Anyone can know it, but you know what I mean? It's just the mind fleets, the mind fleets. And monks typically when they're in public settings, you see them walk and they're just basically doing walking meditation without looking up. They try not to look up or at people so that their senses are not activated. Uh, when Venerable Varapanyo was here over there sitting with me, he's an American monk. He was ordained in Thailand. He's been all over the world. We chant together, and I'm not sure the way how I'm not like, okay, you were in Thailand, but you also travel elsewhere, and I'm not sure how you chant and the rate and rhythm of how you chant. So I'm like, let me take lead, and you look at the screen too, even though these are the most basic things that we have to know, and which is I just want to make sure we all follow along together. When we were in public on a boat to go see dolphin sightseeing, he didn't want to see the dolphin. He sat there and meditated. And I was just looking at him like, you're missing the view. But he was actually freaking out because by through his training, he's around so many people that he's freaking out because monastics are supposed to be in the jungle, not out in public. I mean, since when last time you see one of us dudes running around Walmart, one of us dudes, at Best Buy, dragging home a laptop. But I've listened to him, you know what I mean? And he's in the forest. So when he sees humans, he's literally freaking out. He's like, oh my God, and if there's more women on the boat, he's really freaking out. And he's like, oh my God, like his Mara is going to test him. We know that, we monks know that, we know that certain things will test us. So we will shut all of our faculties. We would just, shut. We don't want to, the more you see, the more you lust. The more you hear, the more you lust. It's everything. Sight, taste, seeing, smell, everything. So it was just very peaceful to just watch him. And I have pictures. I'll publish those pictures. And he just looks so peaceful. And he's back to the breath, back to the breath, back to the breath. And I was just like, oh. And you just sit there and just watch him all day and just be at peace. There's some monks, I swear, you just watch them meditate and you just like enlighten yourself. So yes, yeah. So yesterday I was at what festival was it, Stephen? What festival was it? Serbian, right? Serbian festival. And you notice, Stephen, I had to not go towards the playground area where the kids are and stuff like that, Yeah. And I had to be in in places where people can easily see me. Yep. And could not be in anywhere that is within obstructions that you cannot see me. People get real. That's part of our rules. Is that number one, be careful when you're around women, and when you are encountering a woman, make sure you are like very uniformly, like ta-da. Like if you go behind a bush, ain't nothing happening. Ain't nothing good gonna happen behind a bush. Okay, whether there's good intentions or not, it just appears that way. Okay. We have any questions on the precept so far? Actually, oh yeah, yeah. Anyone who needs water at this moment? You guys have the chance. Okay, you guys are good. The precepts here sounds easy here, easy to understand here, but it's not.
No, I've been thinking about it, and there's this fly at work.
Uh-huh.
I don't know why. Ever since they did a pumpkin carving contest for Halloween in our office, there's been these little tiny flies. And this one just goes around.
Oh, okay.
Crawling
So
in front of me.
the precept is difficult, and there are gray spots in between, and people are like, so let's say I undertake to refrain from sexual misconduct. What does that mean? Well, obviously don't rape people, and obviously if you're going to do something at consent, but it goes deeper than that. Don't get into sexual things with people, especially if they're under the jurisdiction of their parents, even though they still can consent by law. If you were to go through the traditional route, the Buddha taught this in details so that you don't get in trouble. And people are like, well, the law had done said, go ahead, follow the law. Yes, you are a law-abiding citizen. We get it. But the wise knows better. Matter of fact, let me reserve certain stories for later. The 2,566-year philosophy and way of teaching tells you different. You know what I mean? Like, again, the Buddha says, if someone's under the jurisdiction of their parents, get the permission of parents also, right? So the gal or the guy can consent to sex, but if their parents say no to it, you're going to be facing opposition, right? And if they're under, okay, so 16 in Florida, you can consent to sex, yes? Their parents can still put a restraining order on you, right? Leading to legal troubles, right? And I've seen students having to get lawyers and all this other mess, $5,000 ordeal over not heeding the advice of the Buddha. Nowadays, when I'm watching things unfold with students, I'm like scratching my head in my mind and I'm watching all this unfold on TV and stuff like that. And I just want to go over there and visit them in jail or prison or in the ER. And I just want to nudge at them and like, did you know any better? I just want to ask you these questions real quick. Did you know that the teachings of the Buddha existed? And did you ever wondered, maybe you should have looked into it before you got to where you are today? Because it's been there, right? It's been there for 2,566 years old. It's your fault not looking into them, true or false. It's your fault not, diving into it and investigate it and learn it, or just to investigate it, just to see if it's worthwhile. It's your fault that you went on Netflix. It's your fault that you started ordering Amazon Prime, but every week you're ordering on Amazon Prime. It's your fault that you've been drinking. It's your fault that just look at your fault, right? In the Christian world, we're all sinners. Well, why did he say that? Well, because that's what we do. We just waste time. What is a sin? A sin is one who misses the point. For people, it's a little bit too late, right? Because they keep on missing the point sporadically and frequently and recently. Right? That's why you need that's why people need to come here to be reminded of things. You know what I mean? When I am reading this, when I'm reading like literally right in front of me right here, yeah, I've been a monk for 8 years, going on 8 years next year, and I have 20 years of training and 20 years of all these years, okay? But when I'm looking at it again, it's just as if like I'm learning it first day again. It's so fresh to me. It's so meaningful and deep to me, dense, and it requires my attention. I don't glance over, oh, I undertake the precept refraining from killing living creatures and be like, oh, I get it. Well, do you get it really? Okay, well, why don't you put a net over me and put one mosquito in there?
That's my struggle.
That mosquito is human.
I was texting her.
That mosquito is a human. Yeah.
I was like, there's this bug.
That bug is a human.
Yeah.
On you right now. Yeah, it's a human. So if you squish this bug, you have squished a human. You have committed first degree murder or premeditative murder. That's Buddhism for you. Krupa Punchum is a Myanmar monk, Burmese monk, that literally he is scanning the floor for ants, not stepping on them. The rule for karma is don't do it intentionally, willfully, knowingly, and intentionally. Same elements as law. What's the Latin for that? It's not mens rea. Is it mens rea in Latin? Intent. Mens element of a person's, yeah, mens rea in Latin, mens rea, which is intention. You willfully, knowingly, and intentionally did whatever you do. You read every single police report, that's what it starts at. To wit, meaning the officer have witnessed, to wit, the subject on November 2nd, 2022, did willfully, knowingly, and intentionally took a toothbrush out of 7-Eleven, and then the report goes on, right? So, but again, but sometimes it's like smack. You killed a life. You took a life, and therefore, how is it going to come back and bite you in the butt? Well, if you take a life, your life will too be shortened. If you take a life, you will be subject to pain and suffering, physical pain and suffering. So it depends on your karmic debts. Okay, so you come here and you make merits. You put $5 in the donation box, and you try to keep the other precepts, but you're violating other precepts. So the law of working, the law of effects, law of cause and effect, will kind of like having to. It's like the scale of justice. It's no different than the scale of justice. You look at the science behind the scale of justice, and how does the judge decide your sentence? Ah, were there, and by the way, anyone who wants to, it's blurry, it's okay. Who wants to vote me for judge, whatever this district is, I'll be more than happy to be a judge. Reformation in law. But before a judge sentences you, there's like a whole component of him. There's sentencing guidelines and all this other stuff, and then mitigating factors, and was you a willing participant, or the other person a willing participant or not a willing participant, whether you were coerced to be accessory to this crime or not. So there's like all these little factors that affect your sentencing. Same thing with the law of karma. I mean, law of karma, the Buddha have already told us, even if you have 5 PhDs in it, you still wouldn't fully grasp the comprehensive mechanics, the full working mechanics of karma. So therefore, don't violate the precepts. Simple. When you kill a raccoon, whatever the case may be, and then you try to make up for it in donations, not going to happen. It just doesn't balance out a certain way that you think it's going to a certain way. It's not purgatory. That concept of buying out your sin, buying out your, it's just not a good thing when you violate precept. Um, I chose certain precepts here to talk about just because there's gray spots. Sexual misconduct. Okay, so I gave examples of that. Furthermore, in society, we have like um, open relationships and multiple partners and pansexual and all these designations and definitions that I have to like sit here and look up again. But it comes back to the consensual thing, that okay, so literally if you got 3 girls or 3 guys to say they're okay, they're consenting to an open relationship, and there's no harm being done, then it's fair game. And this was uttered by the Buddhist insight by Ayasoma. Um, but again, attachment will soon develop. Right? We know we have to use extreme discretion. Just because a monk or a nun said that, people are like, oh, I'm gonna go home and get on Tinder and get 5 girls and get them to agree, and somehow magically use my clever language and get them all to agree that I can sleep with all of them and there's no attachment. No, 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 no. There's always someone's gonna catch feelings. We know that. You will get, the more people you encounter with, the more you're going to get yourself in trouble. So no matter what the rule says, or gray spots within the rules, or if it's permissible or not permissible, you have to exercise. I mean, the question here is, why are we here? To achieve peace and happiness. So don't get yourself in trouble, right? And the smarter you are, the more likely you get yourself into trouble, deep trouble, actually, right? In impossibly complicated troubles. And that's how you see shootings, especially crimes of passion. I've said that before. And it's just like, oh my God, I'm texting her, and she now knows her, and they're talking about me, and I can't believe, oh my God, my secrets are going out. I don't know how to cover it up. Now I have to like say things about, now I have to try to tell her to convince differently, and then hopefully that gets back to that girl. You see how it is? Yeah, I've played the game. I know. You get what I'm saying? We all have played the game. We know. For all the seasoned adults in here, we know. We just know. Okay. And I can continue playing the game if I wanted to, right? But why is the venerable sitting here? Because it's not worth it. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. Oh, it's a headache. And then again, the more tangle you get yourself into, it takes years to untangle. You've wasted, it's like going to prison. It's like 5 years. It's like a spiritual prison. You know what I mean? We're trying to purify our minds and purify our life here. So you have to use extreme discretion. You really have to always scan your mens rea, scan your intent. Always scan for your karma, your intention, and your action. Always scan for it. Before you say something, scan. Why am I saying this? Okay. That has to do with refraining from false and harmful speech. And again, the elements of false and harmful speech is it true? Is it necessary? I mean, I've repeated over and over again, right? Is it divisive? Is it gossiping? Is it idle speech? Especially the idle speech. They're talking about, oh, let's talk about Elon Musk. Let's bring Trump into it. Let's talk about how Biden fell 3 times. Let's talk about how Biden fell asleep during congressional hearings, Senate hearings and stuff. That's idle talk. It doesn't do it. It has nothing to do with suffering right now. What's it? What are we suffering, and how do we address it right now? Okay. So you have to reel yourself back in. So you meditate on the precept. You sit there and you meditate, and you take each one. May I undertake the training to refrain from intoxicating substance. You can actually just take that alone and go into details of intoxicating substance, and say, ah, weed, Stephen, weed, alcohol, cocaine, drugs, stimulants. Oh, how it will affect my heart, how I can have a heart attack. Uh, Liquor and beer and booze, and how it can lead to heedlessness and foolishness, making mistakes, regretful mistakes. Mm. But you would meditate on each one. That's how you are convinced of the benefits of each one and the consequences of each one. Like I said, in Christianity, blessed are those who meditate on the laws of God, right? And people don't keep the 10 Commandments because they have forgotten. They have forgotten because they don't meditate on it. They don't sit there and think about it. You know what I mean? Keep the holy Sabbath day. Keep the holy Sabbath day. But it's football season, venerable. The hell? No. When did you become a lawyer? Right? The lawyer in our head gets us all into trouble. Okay, so again, I'm gonna squish that cockroach because I'm terrified by it, and I'm gonna justify it because because that's justification for murder. It's murder, by the way, folks. Okay, again, taking any creature is murder. If you have intent and you try to justify it in your mind, that's now premeditative. You're now premeditating on it. You're now planning it out. It's like you hiring you as a hitman, and you are now telling the hitman the details of it, how you want it done, where you want it done, when you want it done, and at what price you're willing to pay.
Like an exterminator.
Right, an exterminator. Well, If I squish him, I don't have to itch anymore. If I squish him, I don't have to be afraid anymore. Uh, so now we have on Amazon or whatever, eBay, you can find all sorts of things that like pick up these little critters without harming them, and then it releases them gracefully. It's for the practicing Buddhist. You know, you have to go over there and skillfully try to like, no matter how scared you are, face the pain, face the terror head on. That's what Buddhism wanted you to do. That's what the Buddha wanted you to do. So you go over there and you try to get this. Look, I got a thing for lizards. You throw a lizard on me, I will achieve pari nibbana. I will just die. The lizard just like jumps on me, I just die. And you're like, oh look, he reached nirvana. He's done. We get a casket in here and get with the funeral director, and So there are times where these little baby lizards like seep underneath.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Steven, grab a cushion. Come sit over here next to me. Okay, so I done intoxicating drinks. You have any questions about these precepts?
I've always had one question about like the bugs thing. I know it's a strange thing. It might seem minor, but to me, it's not. So, like, what if there's like an ant infestation or like a cockroach infestation in a home?
Simple. Call an expert to come do it, or you can put the ant thing around there, and then they eat it and they die.
It's their choice, right?
It's not their choice. It's their ignorance. That's why in this lifetime, strive not to be ignorant and do ignorant things, because you will be born into an animal. Right? That's what animals do: eat, poop, and sleep, and eat, poop, and eat whatever. Or they've ate that darn thing that you bought at Home Depot, and then they're gonna take rebirth. It's an endless cycle, samsara. And you just have to think about it. You just, again, like I said, smart students can swim out of their problem quite fairly quickly. The darn thing turned off. Okay, so right, you have to like be clever, but in a good way, in a good sense. Channel your intelligence and wisdom to not get yourself in trouble karmically, to not karmically get yourself in trouble. You know what I mean? Yeah, these things exist. Like rats and all these things. Buy the rat trap and leave it there.
Yeah.
He's the one who walked into it. You know what I mean? Or like, please go away. Please go away. If you make certain wishes in the home, please go away. Let me have some peace. If you do loving kindness meditation, that energy will emanate in the room. And eventually, so we know that certain creatures have intelligence. We've seen it. I mean, we've seen a fish get thrown, and then the fish comes back and it's like, play with me. We've seen whales do that, right? A darn fish. This guy threw a fish, was like, go, dude, in a humongous large lake. And the fish was like, no, I like you. I want to come play with you. And literally comes into the palm of his hand as he puts his hand in the water. If I'm a fish and you throw me, bye, Felicia.
Right.
Bye, Karen. I am not trying to, you might eat me. I don't trust you. Might grill me, broil me, blackened. The hell? So again, we know that animals can think, and some animals can feel. We've watched donkeys commit suicide. After their loved ones have died, donkeys like doop, right into the lake and drowned itself. We've watched animals commit suicide. We've watched dogs cry over their partners. We've watched all of these things, right? So the energy you bring in your home and in your house, if you sit there and just meditate and use loving kindness, and you say, may all beings know what it's like not to infest in people's houses. May all beings know what it's like to find their own darn home. I think they'll get the message. I think they'll be like, oh, I don't think he wants us here. Okay. So eventually they will kind of like move out. Okay. Again, you just have to do the best you can. And when in doubt, call a monk. Maybe I should like do some kind of an advertisement for that. When in doubt, call a monk. and like put a 1-800 number up there to call me or something on TV. You know, Fox 13. Ha ha ha. When karmically in doubt, call him up. Okay. Um. So again, this is why is it not on the screen?
There you go.
Okay. Um. It's not expanding. Okay. All right. Oh, you did. Okay. Oh yeah, you told me you had to go. You only
I have
come to like.
the dogs have a grooming appointment because this was spare of the moment coming to see you.
Sure, sure, sure. No problem. I'll see you next
But thanks,
next Sunday.
I enjoyed it. Yes.
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 And we'll share your story next Sunday.
Okay.
Oh, by the way, she's the one that has the near-death experience that I did the interview on the YouTube. Yes, and we'll share her story next time. Uh,
Okay. Good thing nobody squished.
when
Don't squish them. It's scary.
when when you all look at the bottom there, it says morality as a vehicle for happiness, vehicle for good fortune, vehicle for liberation. Let morality therefore be purified. And Stephen, do you see that good fortune thing? See good fortune? You want some good fortune?
Yeah.
Especially when you head over there on Gandhi. These young kids, um, all young kids have the ambition of making quick money legally, hopefully legally, but then misses the point. Stephen once asked me, what is the point of going into any sort of religion or way of life? Right up here. And everything associated with it. The good fortune will come if you do these things, said the Buddha. Now, you have to admit Asians are not dumb people. And the Buddha said this majority to Asians. And so therefore, if you sure, let's see, right side of the door. Again, oh, it's okay. It's all right. We don't need the screen anyways because it was just to see it here. Um, the Asians are not dumb. Asians are not easily fooled. Look at how successful they are, right? They're doctors, lawyers, senators, congressmen that are Vietnamese, particularly Vietnamese, my kind. And look at how long Buddhism has been thriving in these Asian countries. We have MD PhDs, we have JD PhDs, we have PhD, PhDs, MAMS, MAMA, BABS. They're not dumb people. So when they're reading this and they're testing it out and they're trying it and they're practicing it, they're seeing results. These things, these things right here that you see, liberation, good fortune, happiness, and purification happens to people, improves the quality of one's life. Okay. So again, along the spiritual path, you will have doubts. You will have doubts that no, somebody done has sat there and made this up so that they can have more donations. That happens. Yeah, of course it happens. Yeah. No, no. If we holy men ask for donation, that's our karma. That's why the rule says we can't ask for anything except water. Right? What you do is your karma. If the Buddha says give more and take less, that's what you do, and you find ways to doing it. And in the opportunities that you deem someone that is of good moral character, worthy of veneration, worthy of respect, you do it. You follow the guidelines of the Buddha. And whether or not any holy man takes that money and go gambling, hell he goes. Hell he lives in his mind, knowing that what he did wrong. The fact that he knew better and did better. I mean, the consequences of that is untold. Like, can't even count the amount of rebirths one would take. So again, um, doubt is going to be one of those things within the spiritual path. Five, the five hindrances, and down the road, I want you guys to, we will go through that in Buddhism slowly. But some of these things, even though I want you guys to be on a fast track and fast pace, nothing is done so quick. I mean, you really, and I want you guys to remember it too. See, doubt regarding the self, doubt about, I mean, and then there's rituals in there. So again, just look at that for a second. Look at each one, the elements of each one. Doubt about the self is a hindrance to tranquility. Doubt regarding the Four Noble Truths and the three worlds in a hindrance to insight. Doubt about the triple gem. The triple gem, the Buddhang Saranang Gacchami Dhammang Sanghang. Buddhang Dhammang Sanghang. The Buddha, the teaching of the Buddha, and the monastic order. The triple gem, 1, 2, 3. What are we doubting? If you were to have doubts, what are we doubting? We have to look for evidence of doubts, right? Um, the Buddha, did he once exist? Yes or no?
Yes.
When we look for historical evidence, and you will find it. Search for it. Hypothesis. Test the hypothesis. The teachings of the Buddha, you can see that even if things were not real, let's say the Buddha was not real, is there clinical benefits of the teachings alone? It alone,
Absolutely.
right? You agree and affirm. Not because I said so, because you have looked at it, examined it, and tested out. The monastic order, is there corruptions in it? Yes. The existence of corruption in it? Yes. Matter of fact, someone called me over the weekend. No, hold on Friday, and just started talking. I didn't even ask any questions. I was just like, "What tradition are you from?" And they said, "I'm from this tradition," and just started giving examples within that order. I'm not going to even mention. I don't want to go into specific, but I was like, but I'm not new to it. It's just I know it exists, and I'm like, oh, that's really bad. That is not good, not good at all. And then you have to re-examine the teacher that's sitting in front of you about his own moral conduct, right? And over and over again publicly, right? Um, Notice how the numbers of followers haven't gone down; it went up after I've made public statements about my life and my conduct. Now, had it not been true, it would have went downhill quickly. What if I stole? If I raped people? If I committed a atrocious act? If I committed murder? If I misused donations, misused money? I mean, just the whole shebang, right? So one who's lived I've never heard a monk say warrantless search. I've consented to a warrantless search at any time. I owe nothing. I want nothing. Who has access to DMV records? I don't even have a car in my name. One who wants nothing owns nothing. You know what I mean? So I have offered my whole law since I was young. So therefore, you see that because that things were already somewhat pure. The pureness level was like, you know what I mean, abundance versus dark and murderous, and you know what I mean, all that really dark stuff. You pick that up one day when you sit with a bunch of monks and you see certain ones that you can feel it. Trust me, you realize, oh, wow, whew. The path to purification is going to be long for this dude, real long. You feel it just because of what they did. And yeah, we do have people who have murdered people before because of their profession. requires them to take a life to protect others. Law enforcement, like, and then not realizing these teachings and stuff like that. So that they carry a lot of burden with them. It's rough and it's tough. You look at right livelihood. You look at the noble eightfold path under right livelihood. It is like refrain from trading arms, refrain from human trafficking, refrain from all of these things that's going on. Um, like, so you don't make these kind of mistakes. Like, oh, I didn't know that the gun I done sold him was used in triple homicides. The contributions to that, you have created the causes and conditions for that. Holy cow. You know what I mean? So again, you have to go look back at that carefully. I want everyone to just mindfully look at screening for it. These are some of, we haven't gone much into the hindrances, but the existence of the hindrances. And I don't have doubts that there's saints out there. I actually suspect that Yuta Tammo is a saint. I suspect that Venerable Bhikkhu Bodhi is a saint. I mean, if you were to sit there and ponder about Bhikkhu Bodhi, sir, forgive me for using an example, but I mean, one has to ask, does he like disrobe and go to like the strip club after his teachings? The man teaches so much at this age. It's unreal. The fact that he sits there going through the Nikayas with students,
Okay.
it's in present day, it's unreal. Venerable Saranantala also too, who asked me to be on the panel of Buddhist scholars, like constantly teaching at their age, like 50 something years old. It's, I mean, it's like, and then recently I posted Venerable Aksit and he's young, good looking monk, really good looking monk. He can disrobe and have any females he wants, but he's so devoted and dedicated to another saint that is there. And I'm just looking at his life and I'm just like, so worthy of veneration. Truly, the word venerable, so worthy of respect. Even though he's younger than I am, I think he has more. Yeah, he has more years than I have. I think he may have 10 years. And I do. I'm humbly. I want to be his student by his heroic virtue of his conduct of just that I could see publicly. I mean, this even if he faked it, it's really hard faking this stuff. You know what I mean? The amount of temples that he's been in, the amount of and the amount of people that is coming to like pay respect to him, to just like it's wow, you know, it's just like a big wow. And I just want to tag along. Can I be your assistant? You know what I mean? I do, and I will. I'm gonna meet him. I've spoken to him before, and I just want to I just want to just follow and just I don't know anything. Just watch how he does things. Again, I've been far from the monastic um, rituals and practices, and I've been engaging in with you guys. But this is the only time where I really engage with the public. When I go back into my cave, it's like, Stephen, have you ever catch me talking on the phone to any females? Oh, I miss you. Oh, baby, this. Have you ever? You were my closest assistant, and especially recently, you would have caught samples of my life if I would have slipped, right?
Yep.
Have you ever see me watch porn on my phone?
No.
Right? Right? To like to have a sample of someone's life, you just jump into it. I mean, that's how we teachers screen you students. And so, what's going on in your life? I'm cheating. I'm lying. I'm stealing. You know what I mean? To properly evaluate. Um, but today, the precepts that you asked for, I was wanting to give real life examples of it, and especially the doubts that also associated with it. Like it can draw you away from it. Yeah, you asked to become Buddhist, you will become Buddhist practitioners, and along the way, these doubts come, right? And down the road, even if I do disrobe and into human clothes like you guys, I have already told myself that I will continue to operate as a venerable, which means one who's worthy of veneration. You get what I'm saying? Okay. still keeping the precepts. All right. You all don't even know that. So my dad's moving in right behind these walls right here, and when I'm functioning as an interpreter or something, I have so much policies on top of my existing laws that governs us as interpreters. We have rules of professional standards and conduct within the Supreme Court, and I have my own policies on top of that. My own policies. There are layers that I have developed so that I don't fall short and tread anywhere near the line of the law, thus leading to this public announcement and proclamation confidently is that you will never find a judge or lawyer historically, since I became a judicial officer, that will tell you, yeah, he lied under oath. He did not do his job. He did it wrong. We have complaints about him. He did not translate properly. He took someone's side. He was biased. He was discriminative. He was prejudiced. You will never find that within any judge or lawyer in the state of Florida, because that's the only state that I served. We'll talk about right livelihood. Talk about a pure professional life. Okay, well, what if my personal life wasn't all that great? Well, we'll look at my professional life. Well, if my professional life is like that, well, what do you think my personal life looks like? What, I'm out with strippers, shaking their butt in my face. You see that image? Exactly. You get what I'm saying? There, I have layers of, and then there's also layers of policies that I have put within this right here. Like I waited years before I could even tread near anywhere about the fundings I need for my programs. I waited 7 years before hinting about fundings. That's a long wait to just survive on four necessities to survive just alone, and to sit and just basically watch people die. I've watched people die. I've watched kids get into trouble. I couldn't save them for the sake of preserving the integrity and purity of the Dhamma. Because if I emerged as a young teacher, be like, oh yeah, by the way, I need money because I want to save kids. People would be like, dude, you just got out of training and you're asking for money already? Oh, right? People judge. They do. They don't know me. They'll judge. Got out of training and you're asking for money already? Oh, right? People judge. They do. They don't know me. They'll judge. But it also I know that it reinforces their doubt in the triple gem, the sangha. So anything that touches people's doubt, anything that we do or perceived, we cannot. That's bad karma because we have projected an image where they have suspicions about us. Right? So again, I'm really glad that you all stepped forward into the howling wind and the practice of the major decisions. And one day I hope that you share that. Well, actually, you can do it now. Share with me why you chose this as a couple, as individuals. Why did you step forward and say, darling, this is what I'm choosing to practice, and we're going to commit ourselves every Sunday to come?
I'll just speak on behalf of myself exclusively. I suffered a lot of growing up with a broken home and searching for different paths to find peace, and including abusing alcohol and drugs and everything that I could. And actually, I used to smoke weed and drink and do pills and do whatever I could. Prescription stuff that was written to me by psychiatrists, just everything. And it was through your teachings that I was able to slowly quit everything one at a time, and vaping, smoking cigarettes, just everything. And then I lost family members, I lost friends. Two of our best friends, a couple, they overdosed on fentanyl and dead. So I lost my best friend. I lost my grandfather. My uncle overdosed on fentanyl as well. He's addicted to cocaine and heroin and stuff. So,
Grandfather?
No, my uncle was. My grandfather.
Oh, okay.
My grandfather passed away from Parkinson's dementia with Lewy bodies. So he was suffering, having hallucinations, and then he just ended up going to sleep and just was tired of it. And I watched him suffer that way. My uncle, was addicted and passed away. My dad was an alcoholic. I haven't seen my dad in over 10 years. I don't know where he is or what he's doing. Um, a lot of suffering,
Mm.
a lot of suffering. And I just, I got tired of it. You say you hit rock bottom, you're like, I'm freaking done. I'm done with it.
Mm.
So I started studying, and learning more, and practicing meditation, looking into different leaders, spiritual leaders that are just providing good knowledge and a way to find peace. And it's strange that, just doing a simple meditation can achieve a much more, I guess, peaceful way of living than anything that I've ever experienced through outside substances or anything like that. And it's refreshing just in meditation alone, and then living the right life, trying to be a better person. I just want to be a better person every day, and following the precepts is going to help me do that and just continue to live the way the Buddha and I want to break the cycle.
Good.
I grew up like with a working family too. My dad was very abusive, and so was my mom. I started using when I was 13, and I self-harmed. I had eating disorders and a lot of suffering towards myself, which in return reflected into others. And I don't want to do that anymore. And finding this path actually has helped make a huge change in my life. I recently had an abortion. I got pregnant and had an abortion. I wasn't the best partner to Heath, and Heath helped me get sober when I was like a couple years ago, and then I was prescribed Adderall until this year, and it wasn't good. I was really self-destructive to myself and others, like I said, and this path has helped me change a lot of things about myself. And
As I hang out with these young students right here, and I see their ways of partying and their ways of life, yeah, sometimes I do miss it, Stephen. Sometimes I do miss it. I do miss the club sometimes, just like the thought of the dancing and the stuff like that. And as a young monk, I'm like, should I disrobe and go have fun? Should I disrobe and go find me a chick? And let me use you as an object for communication for a second. And thank goodness you're male and not female. People were like, if Jenna was sitting there, people would be like, Jenna was sitting here, people were like, venerable? But I'm asking is like, I'm studying these guys and gals, their life, how they're having fun, how their fun affects their spiritual progress, and just all these metrics and systems and stuff. A teacher has to be very skillful, or else the teacher can actually fall into their way of life instead of the other way around. True or false? If you're around it too much, you might just, oh yeah, you think I can have some of that for loco? You that Jack Daniel look real good, right? And we can drink, okay? We can drink. We just can't get to the point where we're so drunk that we have no idea what on earth what we're doing. There's time people offered monks, a glass of wine, just and there's one venerable name, but he's another icon. He's equivalent to Bhikkhu Bodhi. And he picked up the glass of wine publicly with a microphone, and he said, "Oh, We're stretching the rules a little bit. uh, that's the middle way, by the way, which I'll define later too, because it's not like these are laws and stuff that you guys have to keep. Like when we go to the 8 precepts about refrain from entertainment, it's like, oh, does that mean that because I'm Buddhist, I can never watch YouTube ever again? No, no. Listen to music, dance, drink, go, have sex, do whatever. Are you harming you and are you harming other people? Is when it's of concern. That's it. That's the middle. It's like the most chillest way to live is Buddhist. Get what I'm saying? All right, so back to reflecting on these young people's lives. And right now they're in the dating stages. Everybody's in the dating stages. I think that's what so many dating apps, right? They're always looking for love. Then I ask myself, sometimes I reflect and I'm like, Chidao, what is your ideal girl? And in my mind, I picture and imagine a perfect, like, Victoria's Secret model or something in my mind, right? And I'm like, well, we'll pretend you're the secret model, right? And if she was to sit here, buying through visualization, imagination, as consistent with the Tibetan tradition, I'm just like, what can she do for me? What can she do for me? I know what I can do for her, but what can she do for me? And the 3 marks of existence and our training instantly sets in. You know what I mean? Once you've ingrained all of this into your heart, mind, body, blood, soul, spirit, veins, you know, uh, when I see Steven, I see bones. Not that he's skinny. I mean, he's actually works out. He's actually quite fit, but I see bones. I see blood right now. I see saliva. I see chemical makeups of a human. I see impermanence. So if Steven was a female, I don't see yum yum. And if yum yum means satisfaction, right? Sexual satisfaction and pleasure. And if I do see yum yum, I realize that it's not going to last forever. Sex with him or her is not always satisfying. Dukkha, the 3 marks of existence. So having that penetrative insight into anything that you see, your phone, anything like that, it's liberating. You don't get attached onto it. And I couldn't tell you some of these kids that as soon as they see, like, oh, I like this girl, and she is from a particular university or she's from a particular college, that makes her a 10 out of a 10, a baddie, a badass, an ideal female. Is that that's wife material. Is it really? Is it really? Um, yeah, they don't see the 3 marks of existence, and they're saying, I'm just watching sometimes, but I'm gonna let it happen. Why? Because the more I tell them not to do it, they're gonna do it anyways. Let them taste. Don't touch the hot pot. They're gonna touch the hot pot, and come back with a band-aid and said, "I think that you were right, and you are still right." So yeah, so the 5 precepts has to be meditated on, and the 3 marks of existence is a continual training of views to see in life that things are impermanent, not everything lasts forever, and our mind. So the reason why we have these trainings and the lifetime training is because your mind will tell you the total opposite all the time. What we're training the mind to do, the mind will always try to revert back to its old ways and its old habit and its old days. That it is permanent. It will fool you to believe that everything is permanent, that it is satisfying. It will fool you that. So that's why you're going to buy the next robot, the next car, right? The next house, the next shoe, the next memory foam, whatever. And that it is within your control. When you see the total opposite of the 3 marks of existence, that is under your control. The other day I done swiped Facebook. They got robots that can clean your bathroom. Scarily. I mean, like the arms come out and like twist and turn every corner and everything like that. They got robots that can now make your coffee and do chores for you. It's coming. like next year. It can do appointments. It's literally like a human in the room. Steven, you're being replaced. Half kidding, half not. No, just kidding. Found it. The hell? A robot running around? It will kill you. Someone's gonna hack into this robot. It has arms. Do you remember what the police says? Hands where I can see them. Do it. Hands, hands, hands. These robots got hands. It can kill you, yes or no? Why do you think the hands kill? That's why the police say hands, right? That's all they're concerned about. Hands, hands. They don't care about your feet. You can't pull no trigger with your feet. You must be real. You must be the Buddha if you can do that, right? If they can hack into your phone, your computer, they can hack into your robot to kill you and go in and steal your Rolex.
No litter robot.
It's coming. It's everything we've learned about AI, everything we've seen iRobots with Will Smith.
Sure.
It is going to happen. Because it is people who programs these things. And if people hate people, they will program the robots to hate you and kill you. I know that because I study AI also. One of probably the only monk that studies AI because it's not within our curriculum. So they're trying to tell you you're battling. I'm sitting here telling you what's good for you, what's, where freedom actually lies, peace actually is, and how to get there. Granted, the road is not easy, but I've walked it and I'm still here. And society's trying to dissuade you from me. Society's trying to dissuade you from me. So always remember that. Always remember that. That's why you all have religious statues, religious objects, the beads and everything like that, you know, to remind us. My mom said yesterday, somebody said yesterday, who said yesterday? Oh, Austin. My best friend has sent him pictures about the Serbian thing. And he said, "You look good in orange." I said, "Yeah, because it's bright and it reminds me. Because if I wear dark robes, or sometimes I may forget I'm in robes." Purity, the color of purity, of wisdom, to remind us. We forget. We simply forget. We cannot forget. All right, so for the two gals in the back, I know you guys have questions, clarifications. What you hope to achieve in this class?
Well, I think I said last time too, I've always felt like I've been on a path that some people would want to know more about because of, like, let's say, the way I encounter things. And so I'm always seeking different ways that people find to be able to translate to other people what could work for them. Because I strongly believe we're all connected to one source, but we don't have the same path to get there. So that what might work for me doesn't really work for somebody else. The more paths that I see and feel it's connected to the truth, I have that as my offering to people.
Got it. Connected to the truth.
Yeah, connected to the truth. I've been just trying to get to know myself better and learn new things and connect with myself so that I can connect with others. Yeah.
Connected to the truth. That's exactly what that one gal said over there. Is hoping I interpret for her based on her near death experience. But that's going to be really fun when we talk about that. It's actually very liberating. Her experience and my experience that I share with you all with the 20 minute of peace that I achieved, the 4 hour thing, and what all her reports that she told me, which was recorded live. I have some theories for her. as to why she came back. And it actually touches the self, actually, what we saw on the screen earlier, the the atta, actually, because she told me that after she left and she was there in the universe, and that she says I am, and she said her name, and the possessiveness of the I, me, and my, the soul, challenged each other and reinforced each other. That's attachment to the self. So she came back, literally proved the Buddha was right. Literally proved that if you have attachment, you will come back. She came back, and she did, and she came back, and she told me, she's like, "Well, life's really stressful sometimes, and I want to go back there." Well, you can't, not yet, anyways. It was a very insightful interview. It was a very insightful and real experience. It's my job to, when people make such claims, any sort of claims that is a little bizarre for lay people to understand, she's underneath the microscope within best available science that I have, yeah, as a monastic.
When did she have a near-death experience?
I think I don't know how many years ago it was or recently, but she came and she called me in the morning and she says, "Hi, you're an hour away from me. I want to come to your class." Okay. I gave her my number and then she called me and she says, "I had a near life death experience." And I'm like, ding. I was like, "Okay, tell me more about it." And she said some key words in there that made me, "I think you should come down to see me." And she flew down the next day from Palm Harbor or whatever it was. Just because just because people tell me I need to see their, I need to measure, I need to like go into FBI interrogation mode. Like I need to like see like human polygraph. I need to start measuring. I'm a robot.
Scanners.
Watch the arms.
Watch the arms. But to connect to the higher self, yeah, and I'm telling you all, once you guys get there, it's liberating. It's very liberating what her experience is and what all of us will experience. Somewhere down the line, you stop searching, you realize that's it. This is it. And enlightenment, you can experience it in this lifetime. And like again, death is. I think people are searching for this is because they're afraid what death might look like, and like the illustration said is like like you're taking off a tight shoe. Death is safe. It's like taking off a tight shoe. Let that sit for a second. And when you compare my story and her story, you realize, oh my God, how liberating. There's some minor twitches in there that you may need to do, but that is the experience. I didn't really reflect much because I didn't want to be like conceited or like all about me, but the fact that the totality of my experience, the out of body totality experience of the taste of that was wow. Now I know what it's like to not have a body. But you guys are in your body right now, so you realize you gotta feed it. You have to do all the moisturizer, skincare, toothbrush, toothpaste, right? The needs, just the needs to keep it going until it like expires. But what happened after it expires? Just know that you will still know. Just know that you will still know. You will still know what's happening thereafter. You don't feel this weight anymore. You don't feel this tight shoe anymore. You don't feel this tight shoe anymore. And what you study here, you take with you. You are now alone with your thoughts, with these teachings and philosophy. And you have to be. And one thing she said to me, it was so profound, my God, was that you need to love yourself and know yourself and love yourself and forgive yourself. And everything we know about love, self love, and self forgiving, she says it's very important because once you get there, you are now stuck with you. That's deep. That is profoundly deep to carry regrets with you, to carry some of these consciousness with you. Out of body, yeah, you're not physically in pain anymore, but you're still mentally, you're still energetically samsara and Samsara. What is formation? Sankara. And the path of purification here is to purify the sankara, to start diluting what we have been forming our whole life. We're filled with memories, by the way. We are a body of evidence of memories. That's trauma, that's depression, the accumulation of that there. And the meditation aims to help you start dissolving these things, dropping these things, accumulated bad habits, accumulated negative acquired emotions that has been built up over time. You don't want to carry this baggage with you. Not what she reports, not what I have reported. And if you make your comparison and contrast with other near death experiences, when you start to see commonalities, you're like, oh shoot, this is the closest we have to the truth about it. Just like research, you start, if you want to replicate the research, replicate it, or you start looking other researchers from around the world that's saying quite relatively the same thing, peer reviewed, and scientific journals. You're like, oh crap, that's the truth. That is the near truth. As truthful as ever going to get. Absolute truth, conventional truth. But the fact that so moving forward, make this, if you are committed, keep coming. Don't ever stop coming. Okay. Don't ever stop meditating. You've already started to change when others see what's happening here, especially through that lens. You're already inspiring other people. You are already reinforcing their beliefs necessary for them to save themselves. You are already a battle against the doubts that exist in the world. That's what you are, each and every single one of you. You are already the antidote. Each one of you is one of these pills. And when you show up and when you are the way you are and you practice the way you practice, it's Tylenol, by the way, people, not the venerable is addicted to oxycodone. When you are the way that you are, the way how you speak, carry yourself, and everything, you are the antidote to what is wrong with the world. And sometimes we sit back and we watch CNN and we realize everything is going wrong with the world. How can I do about it? What can I do about it? Well, you already are doing something about it, not even knowing. Buying through individual change and commitment to change by changing oneself, one inspires other people tremendously without even knowing. You don't really need them to know. I don't really need you know. You just know. You just keep straight on point, and you see change in your life unfold. Thus, leading to the elements that you've seen earlier within the rewards of keeping the precept. Vehicle for happiness, vehicle for good fortune, vehicle for liberation. Let morality therefore be purified. Miss Brenda, any reflections so far?
Anyway.
Reflections, feedback, questions?
I'm enjoying it. I'm just taking it all in. Yeah.
I miss Rick.
Yeah.
Rick is a hoot.
Yeah.
That man will keep you living to 130. Like, he finds jokes to crack. He'll find loopholes, and you have to crack the whip often to have fun with him.
Oh, I have no control over him. And when I realized that, then I could enjoy it.
People mistaken that we find a partner to grow old with and miss the point that you find a partner to be kids with. And I see that in him.
Right. When I first got with him, our first date, I'm in the porta potty at the Blues Festival, and he's out there.
Porta potty.
Yeah. Well, he's out there yelling, "Hurry up, people are waiting out here." And I thought, you've been mad and sad for so many years. Maybe this is the kind of person you need. Just somebody to have fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I could tell he got slick a couple times, and I was like, I like Rick. He needs to come here so I can crack the whip too. Any questions in regards to your preliminary so far in your studies of the Four Noble Truths that you guys have trouble with so far?
It's just a lot to take in. It's funny how such small things, some seem so basic or so in depth. I've been. I don't have any questions yet, but I'm just still trying to soak
Inhale it
all.
in.
Yeah.
It's deep,
Yeah.
but it's a good kind of deep.
Right.
It's a good kind of like investigatory thing and to read, and it's so comforting for the soul, for the consciousness. And you know what I mean by soul, not like the literal definition of the other soul, but it's was it chicken noodle for the soul, whatever that book is, food for thought kind of deal. The hardest word to actually ever define in Buddhism, and still until this very day, is dukkha, suffering. It's the hardest word to define and continuously define and redefine, interpret and reinterpret over and over again. Amazing suffering. And people are like, oh, I get it. Really? Because we scholar minds still defining and redefining it. Same thing with the word love. You ask people who have PhDs in love, still have a hard time defining love. Right? Still have a very hard time defining love. What's love, Stephen?
No.
Yeah, you do. What do you think love is then? Give it a shot. How do you not know? Y'all say to each other on the phone, I love you. And you say, oh, me too.
I don't know, you're showing affection to each other, right?
Right? See that right? That right's that question mark. What does love mean? Yeah, scratch your head.
Bell ringing.
Yeah, it wants another battery. Steven, here. Let me review something. You guys can stretch. You guys can stand up and stretch for a second. Take a break because you guys have been sitting there and we took the precept and we've been talking for like an hour, 2 hours now. I tend to wrap it up here in 20 minutes. Say 11. Yeah, just take a stretch and then we're gonna wrap it up because I promised 2 hours. So I should try to keep it 2 hours.
Around 2 hours.
Right? You guys are looking forward to that, right? Like TikTok. It's raining today. I don't know what's going on with the weather.
Raining.
In St. Pete, it poured down this morning. I got wet actually. Yeah,
Wow. Beautiful.
but up here it's nice, but I'm not sure what the sky looks like right now.
Yeah.
From what I'm seeing. The essence of the Dhamma. Oh yeah, maybe I should share that. That's quite profound, actually. Let me share that so that. Joe. Hungry Stephen. I can hear your tummy from here.
I met today. Yeah. I know, I was thinking of it. Are you going? Yes. On that, then bring, you need my car here. Oh, interesting, yeah, I would.
Okay,
At 11:30?
Yeah.
Very good. Okay. It's funny because I was thinking, should I go from here? I wasn't necessarily going to go. I said, I'm Warwick to, because for me, I wasn't going to drive to Tampa. I was saying, no. And then I said, no, if I come here this morning, maybe I go.
Okay, we'll go with that.
Cool. Yeah, I would like to come. I love how things unfold that I don't plan on.
She down.
Yes, ma'am.
Just so you know, our plan, we had a plan, a lady's gonna pick us up downstairs at 11:30. We're going to Tampa to this big spiritual expo thing over there at the fairgrounds.
Wow.
Yeah,
At the fairgrounds.
yeah.
Okay.
So we'll be leaving about 11:20 to get downstairs.
Oh, yeah. I plan to wrap this up in like 10, 15 minutes. Oh, got it, Jim Brown. Wow.
Detoxify and die.
Is this your offering thing?
Oh, yes. Thank you.
Hey, I got your tangerines out. We have them in the fridge
Oh.
in case anybody
Oh, good one.
Did you bring those snacks? No.
Not today.
Your notes, what do they reflect now?
Our notes.
Yes.
So, I think the majority of this book is filled with the Eightfold Path and like breaking it down in rather deep detail. I have just some of the
We have the two noble truths defined in details yet?
two noble truths.
Yeah, and did we use sacred text?
Yes.
We have, right,
Yeah.
the sacred text definition of it?
Well, I don't have the two noble truths.
I don't have my right notebook right now.
Okay, all right, so let's talk
have-
about that. I got 10 minutes with you guys for
Yeah.
the rest of the class for this.
What's the difference between the two noble truths and the four noble truths?
Well, no, the first two is within the four.
But
I just wanted-
yeah.
I just wanted to ask,
Okay, no, I'm sorry. That's what confused me. Yes, that would be the existence of suffering.
okay, all right, so you guys chose me as the,
Yes, that would be the existence of suffering.
okay, all right, so you guys chose me as the teacher within this program, and that the students of GDAL, the School of Intelligence, needs to be different than other schools of intelligence, and needs to be different than from other teachers who are teaching, because if I take 100 students from other venerables and ask them, teach me the first noble truth, I have doubts that they could be that comprehensive. So the first noble truth you guys need to, I want you guys to teach me next week on it. Your job's to either read it out of your notes, okay, because I'm looking for key elements. And the clue lies in the sacredtext.com, the link that I sent. Okay.
still have it.
because I know it's dense, but it is exactly that denseness that requires you guys to sit there and ponder and think about what does it actually really means, and how do I define this, and how do I say this, how do I teach this to a 10-year-old? How do I teach the first noble truth to a 10-year-old, the first and second noble truth to a 10-year-old?
Can I read what I have written down? Specifically, the words I wrote were like the truth of dissatisfaction.
Yeah, I need examples of dissatisfaction.
Okay.
I need elements of what constitutes suffering. I need elements what constitutes desire, what is good desire, what is not good desire, and what is the best desire to have on the spiritual path. I'm looking for very key things, because if you didn't know how to look for key things, now this is the start of your training to look for key things in the text. And mind you, we still have to go back ourselves. We ourselves having to go back over and over again. I should have been a priest. Could have been so much easier. One Bible instead of 45. But even when cardinals read the homilies, he's holding a paper. He's reading it. He's not just like I am, like most monks do. Most monks take a teaching, and then start expanding on it without having to look at anything. And it's the days of the Ajahn Chah Forest Thai tradition is that we don't prepare any talks. And most 95% of my talks are not prepared. Yeah. And so I want to make you guys different than other students from other schools and other teachers, is because other teachers teach a certain way. And I just think that that's there's a better way of doing it, and a way we teachers always have to figure out what is the best way for students to learn and memorize what they have learned and put it into practice. And not just say, oh, go read this. Oh, great. Let's move on to the next. That's easy. I mean, I have 84,000 teachings to go through with you. I can just fly through them. We can fly through it recklessly, but that's not the right way to do it. You would get like, oh yeah, comprehensive of it, but when it comes to in-depth and actual clinical applications to your own life, wouldn't do you any much justice. So I want to approach it from this type of standpoint, for you guys. Again, like you said, you read one sentence and it's like,
The nice thing is some of it's so repetitive that it just kind of gets it into the head.
the Buddha was repetitive in his teachings. Yes, I try to look up the four essence, the four essence. Or my latest talk with Venerable Saranampalai and Bhikkhu Bodhi, I couldn't pull it up, but it was literally like one small paragraph, and the four essence was, it's only four. How do I not remember? Was being alone and not to hang out with large crowds, to like get rid of stuff and not hoard, right? The deconstruction of one's accumulation of material stuff, and you look at the total opposite of that, which is accumulate more, right? I have to go back. I have to go back to it, but it was one thing that I was able to check mark off. And but that whole 1 hour 30 minutes was people like scratching their head about these four elements and into their details and literal meaning of it, which, I mean, what I just told you was simple, right? Like, try to be alone, not hang out with large crowds, try not to accumulate so much things, and declutter. The other two fleet my mind. I have to go back to it, but people ask them questions. I mean, these are very simple things, and Bhikkhu Bodhi had to pull up the academics behind it,
Yeah.
and explain. So you see how the depth of it, the depth of the Dhamma has to be clearly understood, full comprehension from head to toe. Then after you understand it clearly head to toe, then that's how you know how to practice. How do I not accumulate things in my life that will clutter my life and lead me to attachment, additional attachment? When hanging out with large crowds, are they the wise, right? Are they conducive to my spiritual path? or are we just hanging around talking about Trump and Elon Musk and Amazon going downhill or uphill kind of deal, right? You have to but after you have it, you know what I mean? It's no different what I'm training you here to be lawyers. So as you read the law, you understand the law, you understand everything about that particular law, its historical context, legislative intent, elements within it, changes that was made, anything that was precedence to it, okay, before you become the prosecutor, okay? And so that's exactly in the teachings of the Buddha. It's just that it's like really easy in the beginning, but then we don't have any in-depth insight of it. And this is the cultivation of wisdom right here, of what I'm doing to you guys. The cultivation of wisdom. Okay. And one last analogy is before doing surgery, same thing. The doctor has to study, has his surgery done before? How long does the surgery take? What are the tools necessary? What is the success rate before you actually execute? So you have to understand the first and second noble truth clearly, to know when to exercise, and how this affects your view and perspective of everyday life. And I've never taught this before. I've never actually went in depth with my rapid realization programs because the students were all over the place. And I was more focused on the cognitive behavioral side of it versus the Dhamma. Did I tell you guys about the CBT book? Did you guys finish that book yet? The cognitive behavioral therapy book? Well, there's active anxiety, yes.
Yeah.
You have to have the time with the first and second noble truth, but the priority should be the cognitive behavioral therapy book. Yeah, especially if there's active, because it's hard to study the first and second noble truth. There's active depression or anxiety. Did you guys have the book?
I have a copy of it.
Physical copy?
And electronic, yeah.
Oh, good. That should have been priority. That should have always been priority, as stated in previous talks.
Yeah.
So that takes precedence.
Okay.
That goes first. So let's get as much of that done, and if we have time, we'll interject a little bit of first and second noble truth into our program, which is good for everyone that is involved here to learn about cognitive behavioral therapy. Again, there's depth in CBT. There's depth in CBT, and it's a good reminder for CBT because CBT is a scientific study of the mind, and everything we're doing is to affect that purpose of studying the mind effectively. The depth of the mind. Okay, that's a can of worms already. So you all have instructions already, right? Okay. So again, reflect on the precepts. Just be good. So I got to know. One who thinks that reflecting is a little bit too much for them or too much going on in school and stuff like that. Well, simple. Just be good. You'll go to heaven. If you think that, then everything you do you don't have to be a lawyer and think about cheating and how to steal effectively, how to plagiarize effectively. You know what I mean? Any last questions before we wrap it up at 11:15? No?
Not for me.
Okay.
Except maybe, do you think you had that near-death experience so you could come back to?
I didn't have a near life-death experience.
Oh,
I survived all of my car crashes, but it was my meditative experience that gave me insight of what it feels like to be out of your body and into a place that is described as peace, free from disturbing emotions.
it was in a meditative.
It was I meditated in 2017, somewhere around November area, for 4 hours human time, but I was there 20 minutes heavenly time, but I knew I was there. The fact that I knew I was there is the knowing that constitutes the experience, the validity of the experience. And yeah, I'll share that next week because we're running out of time, and I just wanted to give the blessing verse consistent with this practice and tradition.
And Rick and I are gonna be gone the next
Yeah, you
two
told me
Sundays.
you have a lot going on. Yeah, coming up. But it's okay. You can catch it on, everything else
Yeah.
that's we're doing here.
ยะถาวริวหาปุราปริปุเรนติสาคารังเอภุเมวะอิโตตินังเปตนังอุปกัปปติอิจิตังปฏิตังตุมหังคิปะเมวะสมเมจตุสัพเพปุเรนตุสังคปาจันโดปัญญรโสยะถามณิโชติรโสยะถาสัพพิติโยวิวัจจันตุสัพพะโรโกวินาศตุมาเตภวันตุอันตรายโยสุขีดีหายุโกภวะอภิวาทนาสีเลสนิจังบุทธาปจานิโนจาตารโอธรรมาวตันติอายุวันโนสุขังภาลังปวัตตสัพพมังกลังรักขันตุสัพพดีวดาสัพพพุทธานุภาเวนัสสะโสทีภวันตุเตปวัตตสัพพมังกลังรักขันตุสัพพดีวดาสัพพธรรมานุภาเวนัสสะโสทีภวันตุเตปวัตตสัพพมังกลังรักขันตุสัพพดีวดาสัพพสังฆานุภาเวนัสสะโสทีภวันตุเตMy wishes for all of you as class is concluded. May you all always be well, be happy, be free of mental suffering, be free from physical suffering. May you realize the light of your own true nature. May you be healed and be a source of healing for others. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Thank you all for joining and being wonderful listeners today. And class is concluded. For those who have to run the temple for your spiritual convention, what's going on over there? I have to wrap up some things here, so I'll be available, another 10 minutes as I wrap all of these things up for questionings. But I see you all next Sunday at 9 a.m. to continue. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Christina asked me about the bookshelf.
Yeah, I was gonna move it over there, right?
Oh, okay.
But then she's trying to clear that space back there to move some of these chairs in there
Yes.
for this to go over there. But
Okay,
yeah.
and do you have like a set schedule? Because I do some Reiki trainings in this room. How would we coordinate when you're gonna open it up to people? and when
Candy? Candy gave me the schedule,
Mhm.
and I kind of see it, but right now nothing is set in stone yet because we're still in the transitioning and moving process.
Okay,
So once the moving is done,
yeah,
and this is set to where it needs to go,
yeah.
then we'll look at. But every teacher that's here takes priority
Oh,
over my stuff because my stuff is it was just meant for a place where they can come and it's kind of like a Starbucks without the coffee.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it.
right.
But every teacher in here has priority over stuff that they've already had going on already. I don't want to hop in. It's actually more for me than for anybody else is because I have so much to catch up on and
Yeah.
monitoring my 74-year-old dad still doing this. So
Wow.
it's like babysitting. So I just have to think of a ingenious way to have fun while I'm babysitting.
Randy, would you like to take a water? I got things. And I took a tangerine, and I took one of those.
Stevie, can you go grab the small bag again so I can test out this microphone? 'Cause something's going on with this microphone.
You know what I do when I hit the bathroom?
Buddho, Namo Tassa, Namo.
Maybe this thing wants replacement.
New microphone.
Always technology.
I have to grab my purse. Goodbye, everyone. Congratulations. This is a great path.
Thank you.
For you guys. Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And every time when I go do all these basic stuff with you guys, it refines the way how I teach. It's never ending about the refining. It's like kind of like sharpen a blade. A teacher sharpens his blade even more, even finer, into like the sharpest Japanese katana you've ever seen in your whole entire life. So every time when I go do these basics, I have to like dig into, even though it's very basic, I have to like, this is student, I'm also measuring how much of it you're absorbing. But don't ever sit there and be like, oh my God, he's expecting us to be perfect. No. Your job is to do the best you can. You're gonna mess up. You're gonna, do all these things. And it's my job to figure it out how we best study together and practice together. We, not just you guys, but me too. You know what I mean? Because the student is dealing with stress and work and home and balance and anxiety and depression.
Right.
So it's my job to like, how do we figure this out skillfully so that they can apply this in their life, appropriate proportions, and not too overwhelming, fun, engaging at the same time, and not so dry. Like, oh my God, we've been studying dukkha for like a whole month. I really just like need a vacation to Hawaii right now. If students say that, that means I'm doing something wrong. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it has to be a mixture of everything. It's my job to look at the dynamics of the science of studying and learning. So
Yeah, I'm very grateful for you and for you guys. I say it every morning when I wake up. Literally, I got the Buddha and I got my little tiny one, and I go and I do my little thing too every morning and just try to reflect and make sure that I ask for, put it out there that I'm going to have a great day, that things aren't going to bother me actually. It's interesting because I've had, I think you as well, we've had these moments where we've had like spans of just complete presence and just like total like, this is wonderful. Like there's nothing at all, no anxiety of the future, no depression from the past, no whatever, none of that happens. And then it creeps in and it creeps in. And actually last Wednesday, was it? When I got sent home from work.
Yeah, last Wednesday.
I'm a sales advisor and for like insurance and really for like
no more call center.
Same thing.
Okay.
It's just like I deal with sales on the sales end more so than anything else. I do take some customer service calls where people are angry. That's actually easy. It's the sales thing that gets to me. And I had this one call, and I love my job. I absolutely love it. I've been doing this for a 40-year anniversary coming up here on the 28th. But on Wednesday, they pulled a call, and I was really nasty. I didn't even have any idea. They played it for me. My boss was like, just listen. I'm like, and I listened, and I sounded like just mean. So then they sent me home for the day. And it was from the day before. So it was like kind of like almost instant karma where I was having a great day. I was getting the numbers that I needed. I was preparing financially. And then
the fun thing about Buddhism is that you can be both.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can be an a-hole and peaceful at the same time. And sometimes they egg it on themselves.
Yeah.
We're humans, right? Are we not? I'm not asking you to be a saint. You know what I mean? When I'm helping my dad, which he's moving in here soon, there's times where I get on the phone with his clients and stuff like that, and certain unruly clients and stuff like that. And you don't get the venerable side of me. You get the interpreter side of me. And my dad also puts them in their place. Yeah. Which is like, when did you make the law?
Yeah.
As we're explaining the law to them. Like, when did you make the law?
Right.
And it's some people really, they just push the buttons. They want to see instant karma, and sometimes you're the one who gives it to them.
Yeah.
But our job as Buddhists is to exercise the most restraint that we can.
Right.
But there are days where you are just simply human, and you have active chemical changes, and there's things within your chemistry, within the day, the weather. We have so much factors that affects you. And you're beginning Buddhist. I'm not expecting you to be a saint right away. You know what I mean? Eventually, through time, you unlearn a lot of things, and eventually through love and kindness meditation, you start to, and then once you see the true nature of people, you realize that these fools, these ignorant fools, you know what I mean? And you have compassion for them. Eventually you have compassion for them.
Well, it was the weirdest thing. So that had happened, and then I went home and I spent hours in meditation, like over 3 hours, around 4 hours in meditation. And then I kind of like evaluated, and I'm like, you know what? It doesn't matter how people are, because it's not me. I mean, it sounds almost egoic in a way, but it's not. It's like, that's them. This is all about me being a better person, so that way I can impact other individuals. So then I went back to work. I had a great day, and I've had consecutively good days at work, and which is just work. But then I was driving home, and then you called or you texted me on that Saturday just after that happened, and then I had that.
You're like, oh, but look, it's a calling.
And then I'm like, this is wonderful. I'm like, how awesome is this? So then things just kind of default. It seems like everything is just falling into place. Like since that moment, because I've been really feeling pretty great before, and then whatever happened, and then that whole instance happened, and then you contacted me, and then we started kind of snowballing. And then the other day, I was driving home from work, and I was going about 60 miles an hour on 19 going north, and this truck just came up, blaring behind me, flashing his lights, just being a jerk. And I noticed it. I'm like, well, there's cars next to me. I can't do anything. It's just traffic. It is what it is. I can't be what it ain't.
Yeah.
And so he like finally whips around. He's flicking me off, and I just looked at the guy, completely indifferent. It didn't bother me at all. Like that little things like that. He said traffic didn't bother me at all, and then he just kept. And he got in front of me, and he slammed on his brakes, and I slowed down, and my adrenaline pumped a little bit because I was worried about an accident, but it didn't upset me, and I just didn't react. It finally just took off, and he got stuck in traffic all, right ahead of me, and it's like, I mean, I hope he's okay. Like there's didn't cause any accidents or anything, but I genuinely, for one of the first times in a weird situation that was like that, it not only didn't bother me, but I had compassion for somebody who was being aggressive toward me. I didn't even know him. Driving down the road 60 miles an hour, it took 20 seconds for this whole thing, 30 seconds or whatever it was. He was on his way, and I noticed that not reacting to those things. It's like you said, during the retreat, like someone's yelling at you, bow to them, see how they keep acting. Well, I didn't bow, but I was just non-reactive and just didn't. I mean, if I would have, I guarantee, I know it. If I would have flicked them off, or if I would have did anything or reacted in any way, it would have only continued to egg on the situation, which could have been harmful for both my life and this particular individual, and it could have led to serious consequences. And instead, it didn't. And I didn't even have the thought of being reactive in a negative way. So that was really kind of like one of those moments where I was like, oh, and it was nice, So
When these things, when it comes to traffic, it's difficult because it has to do with survival instinct, and your nervous system is being activated because you're like, oh, I'm being attacked, so I need to defend myself, or who's ever in the car. But using our intelligence and wisdom, we realized that he did that to me. If I do this, how would it best serve me? And you realize that nothing good happens if you were to respond in anger. It's a force continuum of catastrophe. That's how people get shot on the road and stuff like that. Just like over a lane, seriously over a lane.
Yeah.
We went from an illegal lane change, cutting off someone, to ego, to death in a matter of minutes. Every day, every single day.
That's the definition of that escalated quickly.
Yeah. So in Buddhism, by being aware of your feelings, by being aware of your perception, when all of your senses are being activated, you have to be on guard. It's no different. You're watching for a guy who's just going to escape your prison. You're like on a guard tower. You're just like scanning. Yeah. So every time when your eyes, nose, ears is activated, you're always scanning for anger. You're always scanning for things that could lead you to anger. And then once anger is detected, and you're like, doo-doo, pinpoint, kind of like a robot. You're like, boom, activation of anger, and you see how anger starts to develop, and the sankhara, the formations of anger, the links of influence that led to. I was peaceful this morning. I got in my car. We're driving this guy's tailgating. He's now flashing his lights. Now you're gathering evidence to be angry. Yeah. So now you have to try to deconstruct that and try to put the antidote by asking yourself, okay, he's doing all of this, but what would happen if I grab from my 38 and flash it at him? How would that best serve me and my partner in the car right now? And as soon as you ask yourself that, you realize how foolish you were going to be, but did not act on it. Right. So again, intelligence is everything in this school, with this particular teacher. So I'm glad, you didn't do it, but that teaches us a lesson. Every time when we are activated inside our feelings, it teaches us a lesson. It tells us how much work we have to do to remain calm.
Right.
In the face of idiots.
Well, that's the thing. It was almost like after being a jerk on the phone with that one person, and then kind of like the reevaluation from that moment where I was getting upset, which I didn't even realize I was. It was like I was blind to it, like completely blind to it from that moment, and then how things have progressed through just practicing meditation, doing loving kindness meditation. Try to do that regularly.
Yeah, like every night now.
Yeah.
Good.
And
I think
it's just wild. It's wonderful.
it's wild and wonderful.
Yeah.
You know, being human is very challenging. So,
Yes, it is.
but then, yeah, but thank goodness we have some instructions that teach us better.
Yeah.
That's the Dhamma. So slowly you guys are getting there. You guys are young and you guys are veering towards the right direction. You know, so you don't beat yourself up over failures, just because again they don't teach this stuff in school. Somewhere down the line, you know, your light bulb ding and you realize, well, Buddhism is for me, appropriate for me. So slowly, you know, you will see your life get a little bit better, happier and healthier. Right now, do good, eat right, sleep right, exercise, and you're golden. And come here every Sunday.
CBT too.
And CBT, yeah, CBT will help you out a lot
Yeah.
in your investigation of the teachings of the Buddha.
Okay.
Just because I'm telling you, just trust me. It's a book that you can literally finish in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
It's only 300-page book, 10th grade level reading. You're going to fly right through it.
With the feeling anger, would you treat it the same way as like sadness or like?
Number one, acknowledge it. Acknowledge it, and you know. So there was this student that knocked on his teacher's door. The teacher didn't open the door, and the kid was expecting the teacher to answer the door. He's knocking like 5 minutes, so he's mad, like pissed. So the teacher opened up the door really fast, and the kid looked at him like angry, and the teacher says, "You see the anger you got? Look at it, do something with it." Then shuts the door again. So what he taught the student was the identification of the anger, how anger comes and it goes, the impermanence nature of the anger, how it comes and it will dissipate, or he can hang on to the anger and be ticked off the whole day, literally hanging on to something and just sitting with it the whole day of resentment. So the first thing in Buddhism is to acknowledge it and to sit with it and see why it's there and why it's there for so long. You start analyzing it. You take the anger as the object and you start analyzing, putting it underneath the microscope, and all in the meanwhile not reacting. So you're a scientist of your own emotion in that state, in that moment, to see it. And you record it in your journal. So you have a journal, you record it. And if you're doing this 4 times a week, we have a problem. We have a pattern. We have habits and pattern of reaction. And we have to address that reactiveness. But CBT helps you with that. CBT helps you with anger, depression, anxiety, self-esteem, you know, body image, everything. It is literally the one pill that treats all. So that's always preliminary for students who are in my program. If they're dealing with anger, depression, anxiety, PTSD, bipolar. But yeah, you sit, don't push it away. When people get angry, then they get mad at themselves for being angry because they got angry, and not just seeing the true nature of humans is that we get angry because of our accumulated memories. Things that's happened to us before makes us angry today, and certain things will, you know, bring that forward, and you have to see that links, how that's all connected. You know,
That makes sense.
mm-hmm. That's the practice of paticca samuppada, the practice of dependent origination.
Yeah.
Is that one has to be really skillful in just watching it unfold. But that's what monks do. That's when things are unfolding in front of us. You know, we put everything that I just told you together in a matter of seconds,
Right.
and we respond to it wisely, so we don't accumulate karma. Like I said, intelligence, which you both have, brings you closer and easier to the path than those who, you know, can't really understand where I'm coming from. There's students where I'm explaining this to them, and they're like, "What? Wait!" They can't connect the dots. It's difficult to connect the dots, and I have to break it out even more elementary terms for them to connect the dots. Because I have to meet the student where they're at in their life. Some of them are just not ready, or they're just in a tangle that is so complicated to unravel that we have to like stop everything and work on this one particular baby issue until this baby issue is resolved, until we move on to the next one, the bigger one, the bigger one.
Right.
Okay. But I'm glad you guys shared that experience with me, because it just shows the complexity of it. You know, when it comes, how long it lasts, and what you do with it. Just to survive in one day, in 1 week. One hell of a week.
It's strange. You know, you live, I'm 33, live 33 years of my life. You get to a point where I don't even realize what is going on throughout every moment of the day, you know. Not thinking, just doing.
Steven, lights.
I don't know. It's just it's mind blowing to me to realize the difference between just living and reacting or thinking and observing.
Mm.
I don't know.
You do know, and we see that living and reacting does not serve us. It leads to high blood pressure, then we get a stroke, then we die. You know, you get a stroke, and then you're really messed up.
Yeah.
You really messed up. You can't move, you can't talk, you talk funny, you get made fun of, they pick on you, get angry even more because you done did this to yourself. And you again, like I'm watching all these foolishness across the world, and you just hold down the light, the light right there. Yeah, that thing. Just hold it down and it will shut off on its own. I just want to go over there and knock on these people and be like, hi, did you know the Buddha existed? Yes or no? It's a yes or no answer. And it's like, yeah, did you do anything to investigate and see whether it was going to work out for you? Then whatever the answer is the next question is, your anger thing that you've had that led you here in the ER, you've had this anger for a while. Had you ever reflected that, hey, how well is this working out for me, and whether I should address it in some way, shape, or form, especially here in America where all the resources available to you.
Yeah.
Hello? You know what I mean? So I don't know. It's again, they don't teach this stuff in school, so
Right.
people deal with problems in life the way they know how, which is, I don't like you, I'm gonna, put my boys on you to beat you up, or I'm gonna kill you myself, or I'm gonna take care of it. The ways that they know how, and according to the culture that they grew up. Right now, as you seen on the screen here earlier, you saw America's capital, America's murder capital now is New Orleans. Well, it's always been New Orleans. It's just that the police have lost control over there. And when they talked to a sociologist, he said poverty and lack of education. Keyword, lack of education. So that's where Buddhism is needed the most, to educate them a better way of living. And then the culture in New Orleans is that, it's socially acceptable to kill. So the whole hood is killing. Literally, the whole hood is killing each other.
It's almost like mass hysteria.
Yeah. So never ending. But that's a very, very good observation. Living and reacting, or watching and observing without reaction, because we came into this earth, and these are the things that people do. They push buttons, they do all. What the hell is this?
That's what it was plugged into.
That's why there was no volume. There was no audio, because I plugged it into the guitar. So much for mindfulness. Instead of the mic. And I'm sitting here blaming I got angry at the microphone and reacted internally without seeing because of lack of mindfulness. I got angry, Stephen. Gosh, Stephen, now I'm mad at you for not telling me. Now I'm going, oh, look at that. And the whole time I was like, Nambo, I had to raise my voice, and I'm like, did you see? If you go back to the live recording, you probably see me a little bit more frustrated than usual. That would be anger.
Yeah, it was
Delusion, greed. I was so mad. I was like, what? This thing wants money? I don't have money to buy another one. That's why I got angry.
It's crazy.
but yeah, I mean, again, like animals, right? You look at animals, they some of them don't know what anger is. Like like a dog, cat, they just know how to just live. They just live. They eat, poop, and sleep, and they just like, oh, well, nice tree. And then they see us humans, and they don't get pissed. They see us humans, and they're like, that thing's ugly, and they just relax underneath, and they just observe, right?
Yeah.
Do they not observe you? You ever seen a raccoon look at you? Raccoon's like, he's just like, hi, what's up, dude? You don't mess with me, I don't mess with you. See ya. And you mess with me, you're gonna get rabies. Right? They don't react. They don't get angry. Like Bailey, I try to mess with Bailey all the time. Like Bailey's out there sniffing. I take something, I throw it in the air, it hits the ground. She's like, "Huh!" And then she realized that I'm messing with her, and she's like, "Oh, back to sniffing." She doesn't like get mad. She's not like, "Who the hell are you playing with?" She doesn't do that. You know what I mean? But that was a very good observation that you made, which is living and observing. Stevie, you can take this right here. Very good, very good, very good. And that's why I want you guys to come, because you come to check in with me. You come not only for the teachings, but you come to tell me these things, because I don't know these things unless you tell me what what you see, your perception, your reaction, your tendencies, your habits, your formations, and your cycle. And oh my God, I'm so insightful just asking all that. I'm gonna put it in my book. So using that insight is that goes in the backpack right here. Using all of this, you are helping yourself actually. Buying through the teacher who can see things that you cannot, makes the interpretation for you to make the adjustment to progress on the spiritual path. So that's the goal of it.
This is awesome.
Free. It's awesome and free.